All right, guys ready to do this?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What are we talking about?
We're talking about
this is the
our
hundreds.
ones,
Yeah,
our tens, our hundreds, our thousands,
Okay.
10,000s, 100,000s, millions, and how to use an abacus.
I think generally we're talking about math.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just math.
When it's time for math homework, how do you feel?
Brownie.
I love
Brownie, you love math.
Yeah, I really love math.
Yeah, why do you like math?
Because it's fun. I love science though too.
It's science. Well, science and math go together, don't they?
I know, yes.
Yeah, they're connected.
Because you can't
Why do you feel grony about math, Edward?
Because I feel that I don't want to do it, and I feel bored.
Math is interesting. Did you know that math is something you have to train your brain to think in certain ways?
Okay.
And when you're young, your brain just isn't ready to think in those ways. And I worry that sometimes the way math is taught is not helpful.
Okay.
Because, well, first of all, if it's taught too young, it's really hard and people don't understand it. Why don't you think, what's a game that babies love to play because their brains work differently that older people don't like to play?
The abacus. Yeah.
Well, no. I want you to think of what's a game you play with babies?
Peekaboo.
Peekaboo. Did you realize that's a brain training game?
Okay.
Yeah, Peekaboo is a brain training game. It's called object permanence. The idea, when babies are newborn, they don't have a concept of object permanence. That means if I've got a bunch of things here and I cover it, my eyes can't see it. My brain doesn't know whether or not it's there anymore. Do you know there's something there?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's still something there, whether I cover it or not, right?
Yeah.
So, Peekaboo is training a baby's brain.
Mm-hmm.
I might disappear. You can't see me, but I'm still here. And you see me, I haven't gone anywhere. So, part of the problem is that a lot of times when we're learning math things, our brains haven't developed in a way to learn those things. The other problem is that math, I have a saying, math is the quantification of our world. We talked about this a little bit earlier. What does quantification mean?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Quantification is measuring amounts. Okay? But when we first start learning math, are we learning about measuring amounts?
I don't know. I don't know.
No.
It's just we have to memorize a lot of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to do your rocket math, in which you have to memorize your math facts, and you have to see how fast you got these math facts memorized. In fact, at the lowest levels, math isn't about quantification, it's about memorizing.
Yeah.
Think about, you start learning a new language, and you want to learn the math of a language, what do you learn?
Problems. It's counting by ones and then twos and then threes and blah.
That's right, counting.
Yeah.
But when you learn to count, you learn first comes one, then comes two, then comes three. And you're not learning that one has a meaning. What is the meaning of one?
It means like one stud, and then two studs, and then three studs.
Yeah, we talk about this when you're learning another language, and when you start learning to count in another language, whether it's Spanish, can you do that?
Yeah.
Spanish?
I have
1, 2,
tres,
3, 4, 5, 6,
6,
7,
8,
8,
9,
9,
10.
10.
Good. And when you're trying to learn Japanese, right? Remember how to do this in Japanese?
No.
I really want to learn Japanese.
So, and again, when we're learning it in another language, we just learn the order. Ich, ni, san, shi. Go, ro, shish, ach, kyu, ju. Right? I did that when I was doing kendo, right? But we don't think about, well, I just said ich, ni, san, shi. What was shi? It's an amount. Shi isn't just something I say after san, or even yon being something I say after san. This is shi or yon. What is this?
4.
If I wanted to do another one, what is this?
5.
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7.
Oh.
Or this is sheech. If you're in Japanese or if you're in Spanish, what is this in Spanish?
I did too. I'm not
I
idea.
Oh, so you've learned, you've just memorized the numbers. You've memorized the order of the numbers, but the Spanish word that you learned for 7 didn't have a value to it. You just knew that it came after seis. Seis was the number. Siete. So now, siete has a meaning to it. It's not just a number, a word you say before one word and after another word. And I think that's part of the problem when we start learning math. We're not learning that the math we are saying has meanings. We're learning to just memorize. In fact, I wanted to play a little bit of game before we got too far. I want you to see, because we need to be able to quantify the world around us, we put numbers to it. And the numbers have meaning. They're not just numbers that we memorize in order to. They have meaning. So I'm going to put a hidden number of studs down, and I want you to see if you can just look and know how many are there without having to count them one by one. We had 7, and you had to count them one by one, so that might be a little bit higher.
Okay.
I think that might be at the limit. I think if we had maybe 1 or 2 less, you guys would be able to tell just by looking. We're going to try something. I'm going to put some down. I'm going to move my hand. I want you guys to see who can guess fastest. How many are there without having to count each one?
Okay.
5.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
5. No, 3. I was
Now,
guessing 5.
did you have to sit and count each one?
No.
No. You could just look and you knew, and it was,
Yes.
and you had a number, and it wasn't like you had to
I
memorize it and go through the
five.
order of it or the order of it. You just looked and knew. All right. Shall we try this one? Ready?
3.
Go.
5.
I knew it!
Five.
Hey, how do you know it, bro?
Did you have to count each one?
No.
How do you know
No,
it?
you looked, and it's interesting. Our eyes, our brains, and this is something you develop as you get older.
Okay.
We start memorizing patterns, and we start seeing things, and we just know by memorizing the patterns.
Okay.
And I want you to think about it. When you play with dice, sometimes we just have dots there. When you
Yeah.
roll a die, do you have to count the number of dots, or do you know how many dots there are just by the pattern that it shows?
Dots by the pattern shows.
Yeah. So we're gonna throw out another one. I want you to see if you can see a pattern, even if they're not like ordered. Dots are very, very ordered on a die, aren't they?
Yes.
But here's one. Can you tell just by looking at it?
6. No, 5. 4. No. 5. 5.
Look at.
5.
Look for a
5,
pattern. Look
5.
for a pattern.
Oh, 7.
Seven.
7.
Look at a pattern.
6.
Look at. There's a set of 3 and a set of 3. That's 6.
6.
So you have that pattern, and this is what we're talking about: are developing our brains.
Yeah.
By looking and noticing these patterns, we'll start to be able to,
7.
without counting, see how many are there. 7's an interesting one with the way, and maybe it's harder with these little circles, but 7 actually, if you have like a hexagon with the one in the center, you see that right away.
Yeah.
Now, you can also, if you look, you kind of have, oh, there's the set of 4. 4 is really easy. It makes you a
And
little
then 4,
square.
but
And there's a 3 over here, because
like
3's
4
always make...
plus 3, no.
Yeah.
4
Like
plus
it's
3
a
is
tall
7.
house.
So,
7 is a tall house.
one of the first things, as you guys, as Edward, you hate math because
Yeah.
your brain's just not ready for it. One of the things you can do is I want you to start looking and seeing if you can tell how many are there
7.
by how they're organized, what type
Yeah.
of patterns they make,
Yeah.
and then after you kind of see if I can see how many are there by what patterns they make, then if we can count them out and see whether or not that trains your brain to start seeing quantities.
Okay.
Right? So that's kind of one of the first things to get your brain thinking
8, 9.
mathematically.
It's 7.
It's 7.
It looks like the letter I.
Yeah, it looks like the letter I.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Now, on this, I thought I had a dry erase.
Oh, it's right there.
You took my dry erase marker. So now, when we were doing this, we kind of had this this quantification as a whole. Well, we can look at how do we represent this quantification, these numbers. Now, one of the earliest ways to represent quantification, math.
It's is it? Oh, tally marks.
Tally marks.
And Roman numerals.
And Roman numerals.
Yeah,
now, you look at
Roman.
this. This is an entire quantity here. And you look at this, tally marks are used because they make it really easy just to see. And look, boom, I see that's 5. Because I know it's a tally mark. It has the one going across.
Yeah.
I know it's a tally mark. I got this other one down there. I can see 3. That's really easy.
I know.
4, it might look a little more complicated, but still doesn't have a cross, so
Yeah.
it must only be 4.
5.
I think naturally most people are really good about seeing 1 through 5. I mean, 1, you know it's 1, right?
Yeah.
2, you know it's 2, right? 3,
Yes.
we can still kind of see 3. You kind of hit that 4th one,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
do I have to? No, all right, I'm okay. And 5. We do the same thing with the dots on the die, right?
Like
You get the 1.
Yeah.
That's easy. The 2 is going to go diagonal,
Yeah.
right? The 3 is going to be in the middle,
Yeah.
right? Then they kind of move things around. The 4,
Yeah.
they have like that.
And then
Right,
the
the
5.
5 is there.
Yeah.
You know, just by looking at that, that's
Yes.
5.
That
And then
reminds me
they-
of 5 square.
5 square. Did you place 5 square at school?
No, it's 4 square.
Oh, yeah, 4 square. That's what I thought.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
the third square is the queen square.
No, it's the 4th square.
Okay, so here's the thing. Now, at some points, numbers kind of lose their meaning. When we talk about the number, every number represents a quantity. Math is all about quantifying our world, quantifying how far we have to go, quantifying how fast we're going, quantifying how much time things will take, quantifying how much food we have, quantifying how long that food will last us, quantifying how much energy we need to put into a car to get it from here to grandma's house, all that stuff. That's all that math quantifies that, and science is the experiments done to help us learn to quantify that. But the problem is, after a certain amount, that quantification kind of loses meaning. Now, Edward, you talked about Roman numerals. Because we talked about before, right? Yeah, we talked about I. Again, we see that. We
I know Roman numerals because by my Saxon lessons.
Yeah, you learned that from your math lessons.
Yeah.
And we talk about the next one, the next Roman numeral, I, V. That's 4.
That means subtract.
Right, because the I comes before the V.
Yeah.
And if you have just the V, that's 5.
That's 5. And then VI means 6.
Now here's the thing about all these numbers are all
What?
they're all the whole number all together. You have to see the whole thing to understand that whole number. And when you get to stuff like movies, they still have Roman numerals to show when the movie was made. And so your favorite movie right now, William, is Sonic 3. That came out last year. Yeah, so that was M, X, I, V, right?
Yeah.
MMXIV, XXIV.
Can I translate it to 2024?
That's 2024.
I
We
know.
look at that.
I said-
2000, but we look, that's all one whole number. It's all there, and you have to see that all together.
Can I translate
Oh, you wanna,
it?
okay.
2024.
Right. But see, when we have the numbers like this, that whole number has to be all together. And there are groups of people that felt that there were better ways of putting numbers together to make them more understandable in ways that aren't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was on my chair. That was my eraser. So how was the chance that gonna happen?
Now, you guys talk about this is an abacus, and this is used a lot in China, and they approached numbers and counting in a way that was a little bit more methodical. They grouped things in groups of 10.
Yeah. So 1.
And so
10,
that's why we have
11,
the
What?
Legos. So each one of these
Yeah.
little studs
Yeah.
is like 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these blocks are like 10s, and then this huge cube thing is 100.
Okay. That's right. So the idea, and this was kind of very like the Chinese style, why they have the abacus, is once you have 10 single ones, you just put them together and it makes a new unit, a unit of 10. And then if you get 10, so if we had here,
Okay.
let's say we'll start over on this side. So you have just a cube,
Cube.
and I'll try to give it some perspective. Yeah, sure. Okay. So we have a cube here, and these are our ones. And right now we're just going to say we have 0 ones. We will look down here. These are our ones, right?
Okay,
Now,
can we show it right here?
Once you get 10 of these cubes together, you get basically a stick. And we'll get to the abacus part in a second.
Okay, it's
Right?
alright.
So we have a stick there.
Yeah.
Right? And we'll say right now we still have 0 of these, but then this is 10. Right?
Yeah.
So you have 10, and this becomes its own new unit. And you can break this down into ones, but anytime you get 10 ones together, you're going to have an O for ones. Okay. Your old math books used to have ones for ones, which, it got weird when you had T's for tens, huh? Okay, so it's kind of like water, drops of water. You have all the little 1 drops of water, and then they just come together to make one big 10 stick. But it's a stick. You can still break it up into the little pieces. And I don't know if you think like magic. As soon as you break one, you have 10 little ones. You can't break it just one part. But the idea that we start putting 10 of these together, and instead of having a stick, when we have 10 of these together, we're going to have basically a sheet. So it's a long sheet. Now, because we used 2x2s in our Legos, I couldn't find enough 1x1s.
Yeah.
But our sheet here would be 100, right?
Okay.
And so now we're going to put a 0 here for reasons. But right now we have hundreds.
Okay.
Now, I want you to think about this. What happens if I had 10 of these sheets and I put them together? What does it look like?
A bigger cube.
It looks like another cube.
Yeah.
But look at that. And this is part of the reason we work in 3 dimensions. So we're going to go from a cube to a stick to a sheet. And then we're going to go back to bigger cubes. But to show that in America, at least, we use a comma. That we're going to start over with another set of cubes.
Yeah, but now we don't.
Right? But then this set, though, becomes our thousands. Right? Not TH. Right. But then if we get 10 of these thousands, we'll get another stick, right?
Yeah, 10,000. Yeah.
And that's going to be our 10,000s. And then if we get another 10 of these, we're going to end up with another sheet. Shoot, I'm running out of space. I'm not an artist. I'm an engineer. Okay, so there we go. And then that becomes our 100,000s.
And then after that, it's going to be a million.
And then we put all those 10 sheets together, and we get another cube again.
A million.
All right, so now we have a cube. But look at this.
Now
We have it in sets of 3s. Cube, rod, sheet. Cube, rod, sheet. You go 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000s, million, 10 million, 100 millions, trillion, 10 trillion, 100 trillion. Do you guys remember what comes after trillion?
Billion.
Oh, you're right, billion. I skipped billion. What? All right, it was supposed to
Billion,
be
trillion, quadrillion.
right, because then we start counting in Greek, right?
Yeah.
Mono, bi, tri, quad. So you go mono is million, bi, billion, tri, trillion, quad, quadrillion, pentillion. And so,
Octillion.
okay, so that was kind of what this is up here, but that's what each of these is supposed to be. So each level is a set of 10.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about this. We go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now that we have 10 here, it's like we talked about that magic. Boop, we automatically move that over, and this one comes over. And we go there again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh,
that's 20.
It goes magic over here. And now look at, we have 2 10s.
Yeah, that's
and
20.
0 1s, so that's 20, right?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we have 30. Now we're going to go for some. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I already know. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Magic.
Now, think about how much you've done this. How long do you have to go before you move one of these beads?
10.
You have to do this 10 times. Then you can move one of these beads.
Yeah.
Then you have to do that 10 times.
Yeah.
You know what? Sometimes numbers get so big they kind of lose their meaning. This is supposed to help us understand. But this idea of we have to move 10 times to move one of these. Then we have to do 10 times to do another one. We have to do that a whole 10 times to move up to this one. That's called thinking logarithmically.
Okay.
How long, if we kept going up from ones to tens to hundreds to thousands to 10,000s, how long would it take us to get all the way up to, what are they, 100,000s? Millions? Sorry. Yeah, millions. 10 millions. 100 millions. Billions.
This is billions, thousands, hundreds. I don't know.
We read a book a while back that talked about how big is a million. If you could move one beat a second and just kept up nonstop, you know how long it would take you to get to a million?
How?
11 days.
Oh yeah.
A million seconds is 11 days. Could you imagine sitting here for 11 days? No, nothing to do. No time to sleep. Okay. No.
Well, if you stay all night at 11 days, you're gonna die.
Yeah, you can't live that long, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
But million is a huge number.
Yes.
We throw around million a lot without really thinking about how big it is. Okay, so I want you guys to think about this. This is how our numbers work. This is what the places mean. This is why we have the places like this. It's why we have the commas where we have the commas. This is kind of the size of numbers. I think we talked about Japanese a little bit. Do you know in Japanese, in English, or in most of our Roman-based language, our European languages, we kind of have some of that Roman numeral bit where we talk about 13. In Japanese, to say 13, you would say 110-3, which would be Ju-son. So 10-3 is how you say 13. If you want to say like 30, there's not a word for 30, it's 310. So it'd be Sonju.
Sanju.
In fact, there's a movie about Yojimbo, and the name of the character is 30-year-old man. His name is Sanjuro. Anyway, but that's the idea that if, in Japanese, I don't know the words for some of the higher numbers, but if you want to compare 100 million, you want this would be 300,000s, 5 10,000s, we got another 5,000s, 600s, 8 10s, and 2 1s. So what is that in English? That would be 355,682. That's what this one says. Okay, so we're going to go over math, try to teach you how to think mathematically, so that hopefully your math homework isn't so scary. I want you to spend some time just working on counting and thinking about the different placeholders. And then next time, we'll do another video. We'll talk about addition and how we use an abacus for addition and how to think mathematically with these placeholders and whatnot when we do addition. Okay?
Okay. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below.
Dude, I think this is more for us. But,
Yeah.
Okay, you have any questions? You think
No.
mathematically? No? Alright. You guys are
Bye-bye.
awesome. Love you.
Bye.
Where's the stop? No, that wasn't.
Come on.
No,
Oopsies.
that one.